fish sticks. No, just kidding. We're not actually going to be eating some fish sticks. And we're not turning my fish into fish sticks. We're actually looking at some fish today, but we're not going to eat them. So, let me show you guys what we're going to get down to today. Fun stuff. Alright, so, as everybody has seen this tank in the past, if you watched my previous videos, if not, I totally recommend that you should. They are some of the greatest content ever. Not really, but that's okay. We're working on it. Alright, anyway, looking at this guy, 30 gallon, just an aquarium, 30 gallon tall we call it. And the reason we call them tall is because in the aquarium hobby, you have different types of tanks. You've got longs, you've got wides, you've got talls, you've got some that are all three together, which those are just massive tanks. This here is what we would call a tall. As you guys can see, it's more skinny on the base or on the side, so widthwise it's skinnier. It goes up pretty high and then it's long, obviously, but we would just call this a high. Longs would be something like a 20 gallon long or a 40 gallon breeder, something like that. If you go to a pet store and ask somebody, they'll easily explain this to you. But yeah, so we're gonna be looking at this today, and I just fed these guys so you can see the fish are out right now. I threw in a couple. I have another tank at my grandmother's house, and she has some fish in there that have been breeding like nuts. They're platies, these guys right here. So I threw about a dozen in here, and most of them are hiding down here in the roots and stuff like that, but they're in here nonetheless. And yeah, so for a breeder tank like this, and a lot of people call them summer breeding tanks, and that's pretty much what this is. What you would do is at the beginning of the summer or middle of springtime, whenever you feel it's warm enough, you take a tank or a plastic tub or a tote or a bucket, and you would set up a filter in it. Now, to make sure it's safe for baby fish and stuff like that, a lot of people like to use sponge filters, which are these guys right here. And depending on the company, you can get different types. This is one of the larger companies. I get these off in bulk off of Amazon, and there's usually a weight sitting down here at the base. I took it off to clean it, but it's just a sponge with an air hose. And if you see that little hole, my hands are shaking, good lord, that little hole in there, you put an air tube in it and it pumps air through the sponge. And what that does is create circulation of oxygen, so oxygen is going through, and it pulls the green algae and stuff into the sponge and creates a beneficial bacteria that cleans the pond or tanks or whatever you're putting them in. Now, the water is green because it is outside, and the bacteria that grows the green algae it's been hit by the sun, which creates photosynthesis, and since it is outside, oh my gosh, it's so bright, it is getting a ton of that, so it's going to be kind of green. Plus, there's not really an actual filter that's taking out that green algae. It's just two sponge filters, so, and that's fine. The baby fish are actually safer this way. And I threw in two giant Java ferns. These are just very leafy plants. They grow pretty big, very useful to have in breeding tanks. I need to replant this one back down there. It should be down in the gravel. It's not, it came back up for some reason. And I got some pots, clay pots in there, as I have some other fish that like to lay eggs in them. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. You set it up beginning of the year, put your fish in or whatever you want. Usually people put about 6 to 8 fish at the beginning, and usually they'll do something like a live bearing fish, so like a platy, guppy, molly, swordtail, endler, something like one of those 5 usually, or even some egg layers, which just takes, you won't get as many out of the end of the year. And then they'll put something that is an algae eater in here. Most people use plecos. I personally have a preference of bristlenose plecos, albinos, and the regulars, and that's what I have in here. I have 6 of them, 4 regulars and 2 albinos, and you can't see them, but they're in here, and they'll lay their eggs in the pots. And I put in originally 25 fish in total. I have about 150 to 200 in right now, and by the end of the year when I take them out, since I live here in the south, it stays really warm till about the end of the year. I will probably take them out end of September, sometime October, and I'll take out most of the baby fish and stuff like that in the middle growth, and I'll sell them off in bulk. And a lot of people like to use them as like mosquito fish, pond fish, just colorful things that they can stick in their tank. Some people do use them as food for a bigger fish, and I don't judge people what they use them for. I personally have done that in the past. I just sell the fish. I don't know where they're going. Now, I do have some show fish that I do keep and I sell as a professional fish or breeding. And those I don't sell for feed. I sell them as a show fish or stuff like that. And I have some in here that are definitely going to be picked out for that. And those are usually more expensive and stuff like that. But it's a little bit of an easy way to make money. It pays for itself. So altogether, I got the tank from somebody. But if you buy these offline or off of Craigslist or Facebook, or somebody selling them cheap, you could probably set up everything, including the air pump that's under there and stuff like that. You could set it up for decently $40-50. Not expensive, not crazy cheap. There's some of the big platies that I put in there. There's a big one in there that's looking really good. She's about 8 months old now, or since I've had her. So, but yeah, you'll spend about $50. However, this pays for itself in 1 year, and if you do this a couple years, you're talking $40-50 a year out of it. It's not crazy, but it helps at the end of the year pay for things that I have to do maintenance-wise. Pays for itself, obviously. And throughout the summer, if you want, you can get some small bagfuls of fish. I usually sell one fish for about 25 cents. So I'll sell about $5 worth during the summer, $5, $10. I'll sell per month like $5 or $10 worth of fish. And at the end of the year, I scoop out a ton of them. I actually pretty much get every fish in, bag them up. I sell them by groups of 10. Yeah, it gets a little bit of cash in, not a ton. This year I've made about $50 so far, and that's before the end of the year comes and I sell most of them off. So it does pretty good. But yeah, now because it does rain, you do want to put something on top of it sometimes. I put this plastic lid just to keep most of the rain off. It does pretty good. I've done this for 2 years now, and it's paid for itself almost triple now. And that's doing pretty good. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, we're going to be doing more fish, more live animals, possibly some gaming soon. We're going to be looking into that. Hit that like button, hit the notification, hit the subscribe button, and hit that bell icon. Until next time, peace.